WEEI.
Well, no one's happy with that plan. No one is happy. It does not make sense. It did not correlate last night. Sorry, Drake Maye. And look, I'm as conservative for you as anybody with Drake Maye, but that sucked last night. I mean, it really did. And I know fans are feeling the same way at 617-779-7937 because, Christian, as we just get into it right off the jump, it don't make no sense.
Okay, so if your biggest takeaway of the entire game is like, okay, why didn't he play more? He had 6 total plays. I think it was 6 total plays. He threw the ball, I think, 3 times. He had, 2 incompletions? I got to go back and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was it. So he, honest to God, I mean, I don't know how you're really able to get ready for anything if you only have 6 plays, 1 series. Unless, because I've been going back and forth with, because I'm trying to understand his philosophy. Okay, and he's saying all along it's not about X's and O's, it's not about this, it's not about that. It's about like just blocking, tackling. He must have 0 value. This is Drake Maye. Drake Maye must have 0 value for preseason games. That must be what it is. Former player, knows what it's like, knows if it's important or not. He must look at it and say he's not getting anything out of this. So why should I even play him?
Then why play the starters on defense? Then why play some of the guys that matter then? You know, why are even for a series or 2? I can't buy that. I don't buy that. I understand that there might be diminishing value, but there's got to be some. I mean, when we hear what Mayo said this morning about the offensive line, it ties into a bunch of those guys playing last night. Here's the thing. They put Drake Maye in the second series. There was enough of whatever we call the starting offensive line right now because Christian Fourier, I dare say, give me the starting 5 right now. You can't. You can't. I can't. No one can. There's 8 candidates to be able to be in the starting lineup. So if you want to get Andrews or Onwenu out of there, you have guys that you're considering starting anyway.
And even if I'm just thinking like, oh, okay, it can't be just Andrews. It can't be, hey, I'm worried if another center's in there. Like the Carolina Panthers sat like 30 people.
Mm-hmm.
So you were literally playing against the 2s and the 3s.
Pretty
and
much
3s,
from the jump.
So what are you really worried about? Were they looking at it and go, well, they're not playing anybody, so what is Drake Maye really going to get out of this? Like, I would just say reps, snaps.
And if your O-line is already to the point against backups where you're worried that someone is going to get Drake Maye hurt, then we have much bigger issues than any of us ever would have expected at this point, if that is the case. And that's what really got me last night was, I even tweeted it out at The Real Gresh, he would be playing against backups. Like, even if he's with backups, he's playing against backups.
I know.
It doesn't make any sense. And you cannot tell me, I'm sorry, 1 joint practice against the Eagles. That's what is scheduled on the docket. 1 joint practice against the Eagles is going to be Drake will get some reps there. Like that, oh my God, 617-779-7937. How disappointed were you that Drake Maye was able to not get out there and really show anything? And then they get the false start. You're off schedule. Here comes the screen on 3rd and 13. Did a good job with that. I hate to go the Bill Belichick route, but, Johnny from Foxborough High can make that throw. I mean, that's a pretty easy one. And I know they got into some 3rd down situations.
Well, yeah,
I just don't understand why does Bailey Zappi get the majority of the reps in the first half? It just doesn't. It does not correlate at all.
I don't need to see Bailey Zappi. That's the thing. And I know exactly what.
And save the freaking they're showcasing him takes. Well, they cut him last year. No one took him.
Yeah.
This was not about showcasing Bailey Zappi.
So if that is the case, then I guess they just he's earned the right to play. He's next in line, so he goes third, and then Milton goes fourth. I just feel like there's more important things than showcasing Bailey Zappi. I'd rather have seen Joe Milton play the entire, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. I mean, because the first two quarterbacks played, and listen, Jacoby Brissett was horrible. He was horrible.
Was not good.
If you really want to break it down as far as
fair.
he was, we're focusing on Drake Maye, but Jacoby Brissett had his one series also, had relatively same amount of throws, but 3 straight incompletions, an overthrow to the tight end, underthrew Tyquan Thornton. Blame it on the rain. They're celebrating it like it was a success. I mean, if you listen to the broadcast, there's nothing bad happening whatsoever. Everything is sunshine, lollipops, and freaking rainbows. Not a bad thing to be said, and I get it. I've done those shows. It's a local broadcast, so you're always going to highlight the positive.
Yeah, I had notes on that on the broadcast.
So, and we'll get to it, but Jacoby Brissett played like crap.
Yep.
He played horrible with the throws that he had.
And Drake Maye didn't get to do anything.
So, so now that you have a time to look at it and rehearse it, they need more work.
Yes.
That's why I break it down. That's not enough. Jacoby Brissett needs more reps.
Correct.
With this group, with these wide receivers. There's not enough time. There's not enough opportunities for him as a starter on a new team who's going to start for you with a new offensive coordinator, new quarterbacks coach, new everything, for him to really be ready to go when they play Cincinnati. So start with your starting quarterback. How about I think about it? I'm like, holy crap, dude. Tyquan Thornton is beating his guy by 3 feet, and you completely underthrow him.
It's unbelievable.
And I get the broadcast guys, the recording guys going, well, he's really got to stop and, jump up and get that. How about the fact that Jacoby Brissett needs to lead him? He's the fastest receiver on the team.
There you go.
Hey, you can't overthrow him. And yet he does. Right. So I get we're focusing on Drake Maye, but the more I think about it, that's a small piece of the problem. We've been anticipating, hoping to see this guy, and you sent him out there for one series. One series.
Yeah, listen, 508, you must be a genius. Really, guys? Dumb take, fellas. Went exactly as I expected. You expected Drake Maye to get one series. You're the dumb take guy. No one went into last night thinking that Drake Maye was just going to go out there, be able to wave to the fans, hand it off a couple times, throw a screen pass, and then get the hell out of there. This is where you can get a guy like this some of the experience. Here's the thing. You cannot make a case as to why, you cannot make a case to me that logically makes sense as to why you would give Bailey Zappi an S-ton of plays in the first half and not Drake Maye. There wasn't an injury factor. It was in the weather. This guy's had ball handling issues. Let's get him out there in some elements, because if this guy is the legacy pick that Mayo and Elliott Wolf have kind of talked about, guess what? You're going to have to play in bad weather here in New England. So start getting used to it when you're young and when you're a neophyte. And there is not a person at 617-779-7937 who can make a legitimate case as to why Bailey Zappi got an overwhelming majority of reps last night.
And the other aspect is I know he's the third pick in the draft. Very valuable. He's the future. He's still the second-string quarterback.
Correct.
He's not the first-string quarterback. He's the second-string quarterback. He's been taking less reps in practice than Jacoby Brissett, who is your starter. So if anyone's going to need more reps, it's him. And he needs more reps.
And the whole O-line excuse feels weak. You don't even know who your starters are. And that Nick Leverett, the kid who came in at center, he's not bad. He was pushing people around last night. That guy, I don't know if he's a complete starting grade player, but he's not going to go in there and get the quarterback killed. It just did not make any sense, because now, Christian, I'm starting to question, what is the plan? What is the plan? How are we getting to the point to where Drake Maye is going to be able to get into the game? And these are the perfect times to be able to let him go in there and screw up. Let him go in there and make mistakes. Or here's the other thing. Maybe you let him go in there and build a little bit of confidence. Maybe you let him go in there and be like, hey, you know what? Okay, these are guys at the NFL level to where if I had a big window in college, I know it's smaller. And even though some of these guys will be washing cars in a week or two or whatever, those are guys that Drake Maye needs to play against. And I just don't understand how last night is a greater part of the development plan for this particular player.
I don't know. Do you think it's, it is just preseason, right? So I'm going back and forth, but common sense tells me that I know it's preseason, but he still needs to work.
Yeah,
and he needs to work more than Bailey Zappi, and he needs to work more than Joel Milton. Well, he's in there against 3s and 4s. Like, I don't really see what the benefit is. I'd rather him just eliminate the risk of him getting hurt, and just. But still, I just don't. He has his reasons. He talked about his reasons, but I still just don't agree with it. I think this is no indication of me not liking Gerard Mayo, but I don't like his decisions. Personally, I don't. I don't like the way they're handling it, and we'll see if it'll backfire. I do think it'll eventually backfire because the guy who needs it more than anybody is Jacoby Brissett.
And that's the thing. Like, we're almost kind of assuming that, whatever Jacoby is whatever Jacoby is, and who knows how it's going to work here in terms of there's no ceiling for him, right? Brissett is kind of what he is, but in terms of the playing with the receivers, playing with the offensive line, you'd love to see Brissett get obviously a little bit more. It's really the Zappi piece of this that just is the most confounding part of it. Joe Milton running around, you nailed it, running around in the second half. People were going to, I'm sure there will be some people who will jump in on Milton, but let's also keep it into perspective that it's the fourth quarter of a preseason game against the team that should have had the number 1 pick in the draft, but traded away their first-round pick and gave Caleb Williams to the Bears. Use that as a cautionary tale for those who want to bring up the Patriots trading their pick, but I digress. It's the Zappi part of it. The way I thought it was going to go was, here's Brissett, maybe 2 drives, maybe. Okay, here comes May. He ends up getting the rest of the first half, and then it's a little bit of Zappi, and then you throw Milton in the middle of the third quarter and let him play in the fourth. That's how I really thought it was going to go down. And how about this from a texter into 37937? The 774. It's a little stiff on Gerard Mayo, but he's thinking it. I went to the game and left after Zappi came out for the 3rd consecutive drive. What this tells me is that Mayo is a puppet. The only people that served was ownership and their obvious intent to showcase Zappi. It did nothing for Mayo and the development of the team.
Well, I disagree with that. But even to his point, the people who went to the game, when Zappi came out, that first series after Drake Maye, there were a lot of boos.
People were not happy. They actually noted it on the broadcast. It was like, oh, the crowd reacting.
Yeah, and they weren't booing. At first, you're like, oh man, leave Bailey Zappi alone. Why you? It's like when I first heard the boos, I was like, oh wow, this is a representation of how they still feel about last year. Like he's a leftover piece of how bad it was last year. But no, it was the fact that Drake Maye was done playing.
Then and there, you talk Drake Maye, Bailey Zappi comes in. And guys, if you've never been to Foxborough, you probably don't understand this, but for some reason they're booing Bailey Zappi in the first preseason game.
Yeah, so it wasn't because they don't like Bailey. It's because, what the hell?
They were booing Mayo.
Yeah.
They were booing Mayo. Yep. Welcome to the NFL, Gerard Mayo. They're booing him because of that decision, and Zappi just gets wrapped up into it. Honestly, now, Zappi is kind of becoming a little bit of an empathetic figure. There's a part of me that's like, I kind of feel for the guy. He knows he's screwed. They completely threw him in this preseason game for whatever reason, and whenever they get back to practice, he's going to go back to just getting a couple of reps and stay ready, Zappi, and all that kind of stuff. He's just caught in the mix. Like, we all know the end of the movie. We don't need to be Fellini to know the end of the movie. Bailey Zappi is not going to be here at the end of camp. And that again, it felt like wasted opportunity with Drake Maye. It wasn't going to make him boom or bust or anything like that, but how are you going to practically go about getting this guy reps unless you're literally just going to turn over a ton of them against Philadelphia, which, to your point, Jacoby Brissett needs some of those too. This was a blown opportunity and just disappointing because now I'm questioning what the F, like what really is the plan? I mean, I've gotten on Drake Maye for the whole, it feels like he's just accepted that he's going to be the number. After seeing last night, oh my God, they've convinced everybody. There is zero chance Drake Maye starts the regular season after last night. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
We can see where this is going. The lines are lit. 617-779-7937. You can text us at 37937.